man, so many weird levels to this thing, dude. This is the most creepy pasta sounding shit I've ever heard, dude. This is wild. I mean, when I heard that, I was just like, man, this is definitely one of the craziest stories I've ever heard. What is up, everybody? I'm Johnny Blacklight, and I just felt like jumping on today and doing a quick video about this story I came across on TikTok. Man, this has got to be one of the wildest, weirdest Appalachian Mimic stories I've ever came across on the internet so far. So I felt the need to just jump on and do a quick video reacting to it and seeing what you guys think, man. So let's just jump right into it.
This is the craziest Appalachian story I have ever heard. So Casey grew up in the Appalachian Mountains, and she was always taught, if you see it, no you didn't. If you hear it, no you didn't. So one day when she was 17 years old, her and her cousin Lexi finally convinced their parents to go camping with each other. Now Lexi had invited her other friend, but she said that she couldn't make it, so they are like, all right, whatever. So they pack everything up and they start driving to the woods. Now Lacey and Lexi have been camping before. This is not their first time, and nothing suspicious has ever happened before, so they weren't really worried about it. So nothing happens the first night. Well, the second night, she's sleeping, well, she's laying in bed, and she hears footsteps around the tent. Now she's hearing it, but she's not thinking anything of it. She kind of just was like, okay, I'm going to ignore it. So she slept through it. Same thing on the second night. Same thing on the third night. But on the fourth night, something happened. She starts to hear the footsteps again, right? But she's like, okay, maybe it's my cousin. So she looks next to her. Her cousin is right next to her. It's not her cousin. Now this is not the time to be going outside, because around there, this is like the witching hour, she said. So she looks outside of the tent and she sees this shadow, and she's thinking that must just be a trick of the mind. Like, I'm just seeing things. She's obviously not checking because she doesn't want this to turn out like a horror movie. So she's like, okay, I'm just going to put the blankets over my face and I'm going to go back to sleep. But then she starts to hear this clanking sound, and she's like, what is that? Because nothing in their vicinity would make that clanking sound. Everything that they had put away in a separate tent. So she's just repeating in her head over and over again. If you see it, no you didn't. If you hear it, no you didn't. But then the clanking is getting louder and louder, like more deliberate, almost like this thing wanted her to open the tent and look at it. But she's like, there's no way I'm doing that. So she just closes her eyes really, really tight until she hears a faint Lacey.
Dude.
And it sounded just like her cousin.
So
but
creepy.
Something inside of her was like, that is not my cousin. And if she needs me, she will wake me up. Plus, she's laying right next to her. So she ignores it until the calm Lacey turns into this loud, panicking, almost screeching sound. But whatever this is still saying Lacey. It's just screeching it. Now, she said the way that this sounded was really weird because it sounded loud to her, but she almost knew it wasn't loud. Almost like it was in her head, but it was clear as day to her, if that makes sense. So with her eyes still closed because she's absolutely terrified at this point, she like somewhat turns to her cousin and she pats like where her sleeping bag is to see if she's there, and sure enough, her cousin is there. So now she's super freaked out and she's repeating the phrase in her head over and over again. If you see it, no you didn't. If you hear it, no you didn't. Well, it eventually faded and it was silent once again, so she falls asleep. But then she wakes up to her cousin staring at her. So Lacey kind of like sits up because she's like, what's going on? What's wrong? And her cousin is just acting like everything is fine, like everything is normal. So Lacey just kind of shrugs it off and is like, maybe she's trying to scare me. I guess her and her cousin like scared each other a lot, and so she was like, she didn't get me this time, like I'm just going back to sleep. The next day goes on as normal. They have a good time, and she chooses not to say anything because she doesn't want to bring it into existence until later on that night they start telling each other horror stories. So her cousin's telling a story when suddenly her voice lowers and she's like, did you hear that last night? And she froze because she thought that she was asleep. In fact, she knew that she was asleep. She felt her body not moving. She could hear her like shallow breathing, and she just knew she was asleep. So she's like, well, I thought you were asleep. What did you hear? And her cousin's like, I heard wind chimes and like drumming, almost like there was a ritual being performed. And she said, like, I think I was dreaming, but it didn't feel like a dream. I mean, I was wide awake, but I couldn't move my body. So was it sleep paralysis? She said she had absolutely no control of her body, but that she felt Lacey tapping her. So she wasn't asleep. So Lacey is like, well, something weird happened to me last night too. And she starts telling her cousin what happened to her. But before she can even get the sentence finished, they start hearing footsteps all around them. I say all around them. It sounded like there was a group of people marching towards them from all directions. So Lacey is frozen in fear, and her cousin are just sitting there not knowing what to do. And then her cousin looks at her and they both just jump up and they bolt out of there. And this is where it gets effing crazy. They're running until all of a sudden they have to stop because right in front of them is Lexi's friend who initially could not come with them.
Nope.
Told them that she was not coming, and she's standing right in front of them smiling at them. All she says is, "I'm sorry I'm late to the campsite, but I'm finally here." So Lacey turns to her cousin turns to her, and her cousin just shakes her head aggressively like she's terrified of her own friend. Lacey also said that there was something just uncanny about her and she couldn't put her finger on it, but suddenly she speaks again and she says, "Why are you guys running?" And she takes a step closer to them. So Lexi and Lacey take a step back, and as soon as they do this, her friend's smile starts contorting. Like bending and waving as if someone was drawing a painting. Her voice got super high pitched, like she almost couldn't even hear her speaking anymore. It was so high pitched. And then Lacey's ears start bleeding, and Lexi's friend just starts screaming like this crazy scream, and her face starts like contorting as if she's in pain, and she's screaming like she's in pain. And so Lacey and Lexi look at each other and just start running as fast as they can. As they're running, this is fucking crazy. So they can still hear the marching all around them, and she turns around and she sees Lexi's friend essentially on all twos because she's running with one arm and one leg, and her face is cocked sideways. Her face is not even a face. She has multiple mouths, multiple ears, but uncanny. The mouths and ears are on her face. She said it was the most unsettling thing she has ever seen. So Lacey and Lexi are running as fast as it was. She said it was the fastest she's ever ran in her entire life, and they don't know where they're going. They have no devices on them whatsoever, and they're now lost in the forest. And they look around, and the trees were like extending. She said that they were extending up from like 100 feet in the air, and she said that she would have noticed more details, but she was running for her life, so she doesn't know exactly what was going on there. So they continue to run, and they're running until finally she hears this like honking sound, and then these bright lights, and she notices that it's a car. The car stopped inches in front of them. It slammed on their brakes, and as soon as this happened, they obviously stopped, and they look around, and that thing that was chasing them was gone. They both just collapsed on the floor crying. For all they knew, this stranger could have been someone who was going to kidnap them, and they just did not care at this point. It wasn't a kidnapper, though. It was some sweet lady who had kids in the car, and she actually took them to her house so that they could call their parents. She said that they told the lady the story, and she just kind of looked at them like they were absolutely insane, and that their stuff is probably still out there somewhere in the woods because they did not go back to get that ever. She also said that this experience fundamentally made her leave that area. She actually moved away. And she said that she wants everybody to know, if you ever go to the Appalachian Mountains, if you see it, no you didn't. If you hear it, no you didn't. And if you feel it, no you didn't. Wasn't that story wild?
So crazy.
I got that and I was reading it and I was like, what is going on here? That is crazy to me. The whole her friend running on like two legs freaked me out. And having like the ears and the mouths on the face, I have trypophobia, and that just makes me think of that, and I cannot handle it. I cannot handle thinking about it. So weird. I would be so angry if I saw that just because of that. I don't know how scared I'd be at that point. I think I'd just be pissed that I had to look at that face. I would love to know what your thoughts, opinions, and comments are on this one.
Man, so many weird levels to this thing, dude. This is the most creepy pasta sounding shit I've ever heard, dude. This is wild. Just like from all the different sounds, like the marching sounds gives me like Civil War ghost vibes, and the screeching of the name outside the tent, man, and just getting louder progressively and turning into this like a screech, but still saying the name is just unbelievably creepy. And then the actual mimic here in this story is just so frightening and crazy, man. The sideways running thing, I mean, when I heard that, I was just like, man, this is definitely one of the craziest stories I've ever heard. The face contorting like that, man, just so interdimensional and evil and scary, man. The forest changing, it's almost like they kind of found like the heart of this thing or something, man. It's like they stumbled into the wrong spot of the Appalachian, man, which I think counts for a lot of it from what I hear. But man, it just sounds like they really just kind of tapped into some really dark energy. I mean, to say the least, you know, for lack of a better term. But yeah, man, imagine that. Imagine just seeing your friend pop out of nowhere after all this other weird shit's gone down. And then just the most weird shit you've ever seen go down with them, and, you know, including them chasing you and all this, man, just contorting into some humanoid beast. Wild stuff, man. So yeah, dude, I've never really heard one quite like this. So I felt like jumping on real quick, doing a video about it. Let me know in the comments what you think, man. you think this is just kind of creepypasted out? Do you think there's any truth to this? Do you have any experiences similar to this? Do you have a friend or a family member who maybe had an experience like this? Let me know in the comments, man. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for today's quick video. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'm Johnny Blacklight. Subscribe for more. Y'all have a good one, and I'll see you next time.